My dad was murdered when I was 11 years of age, and only recently, at 32, I realized the kind of impact that it had on my life. For a very, very long time, I was kind of living with the memory of that happening and the experience afterwards somehow hidden at the back of my mind. And I was thinking that, hey, it's not important because it's been a while. And I wasn't really sharing it with anybody, even with my friends and close friends, just because I just didn't want to bring people down. I didn't want to be that, guy who is like always complaining about things, about how bad everything is, because it's for me personally, it's quite annoying when people do that, when people are like always see the world and everything that is happening in the world in a negative manner. So I have always been tried to be positive and try to be, uplifting and humorous and just kind of thinking more about other people when I'm meeting them. But a friend of mine told me that that's not something that you should hide. Like, it's not shameful to share these things, and maybe if you speak about it with people that you know, it's gonna be easier for you. It's gonna open you up more and kind of rewire your brain in a way that it's going to allow you to use that memory and what has happened as somewhat of a superpower. And the interesting thing is that I have been kind of using it as my superpower in a way, but I just didn't know that. And for a long time I thought I even either was not thinking about it at all, or if I was thinking about it, it was just something that happened and that hasn't left mark. But maybe about 6 years ago it started coming up more and more often in my head, like, hey, what would happen if he was still alive? What would happen like if he wasn't murdered? Like, would that had any different difference? Would it make any difference to my life? And would it be better or worse off? Because of course it's not like something that is something that you would wish to anybody to happen on the one hand, and definitely probably the best case scenario would be for that not happening. But on the other hand, it kind of allowed me to become the person that I am right now, which is somebody who does not kind of fit into the regular traditional model, and at the same time somebody who is not like completely chaotic and just kind of all over the place because of the upbringing. Because my upbringing has been quite conservative, but losing my dad allowed me to expose myself to the opposite of that and become significantly more liberal than my upbringing would have allowed me otherwise. So I was able to experience a different pole. And after experiencing that for a while, I again came back to being like quite conservative in many things that I do, just to see the difference, like as an adult, not as a kid who was raised that manner. And in the end, I just ended up somewhere in the center between being liberal and being conservative. And I probably even though that experience is not that great, I would say that it had allowed me to become much stronger than I would be otherwise. Like, there's literally nothing that can stop me. I set a goal, and then I go after it relentlessly until it's done. And there's no way it's not going to be done. Like, it will be achieved. The question is only whether it's going to be achieved in 5 years, 10 years, 30 years or 50 years, but it will be achieved no matter what. And a friend of mine said that it's quite a miracle that you didn't end up in some kind of like a gang or like in some, crime group. I don't know how to call those, mafia, whatever it is, because apparently a lot of people to whom this kind of thing happened, that's where they end up. But for me, it kind of acted in a different manner, because that pain that I have experienced as a child, I think it made me extremely kind. And I was kind for a very long time, but then it kind of shifted into being nice, because it's very hard, in my personal opinion, to find kind people in the world. Most people are either neutral or they're a little bit more kind than an average person, or a little bit more unkind. And I very rarely see somebody who's like truly kind at the center of their soul and at the center of their heart, like Mother Teresa, for example, right? And this experience made me very kind, because it taught me that, hey, I've gone through such horrible experience and I still manage to become who I am and achieved goals in my life and remain a good-hearted person, and despite all the pains that I've been going through, because turns out this kind of experience that was happened during the childhood, it leaves quite a mark that people can sense, and it kind of changes the way you interact with the world and with the people. So for example, with me personally, I don't really like to have too many people that I spend time with. I prefer to have very few, but I know them well, and I'm ready to do anything for them. The thing is that even though I wish it didn't happen, of course, nobody would want to, I think it just made me stronger. I think it made me more open-minded. At some point, I basically had to become my own dad when I was growing up, and it maybe happened like 6, 7, or 8 years ago, that I started thinking and realizing it more and more and more and more, that hey, because I haven't had a dad, I have to become a dad for myself. And of course I had mentors with whom I'm still in good relationship with, who have impacted me, who were older than me or more successful than me, but they couldn't perfectly replace me, my dad. And the only person who could replace me, my dad, is me. So I could be the best version of myself for myself right now. So somebody that I can imagine myself being, that is an inspiration for me, for whom I could and should become, so that later my children, they could benefit from having a great dad. It's a very simple way of thinking, and I basically spent a lot of years just teaching myself how to be like a man, not just how to be kind, because something traumatic happened and I don't want that to happen to anybody else, so I treat everybody very kindly, too kindly for other people. Like this is another ridiculous thing that has been happening to me for a very long time. I was being too kind, not nice. I was being too kind. Like I was kind of caring too much about the other person, and I was kind of even sacrificing myself for them, not in a nice manner, which I became later because I saw that the kindness thing is not working. And in Europe, where I was living for half of my life, there was like a fad, a trend to become nice, and I kind of fell for it. And from being kind, which is like inherently good, I became nice, which is pretending to be good. When in reality, deep down below, I felt pain because I had nobody to look up to. I didn't have like a strong manly figure. So I had to turn myself from this state of niceness, which I think in that particular part of my life, I was not a very good person, because I was like almost gave up on being kind because I saw people were not appreciating it. And so I reverted to just being nice. Because in order to be nice, you don't have to be a kind person. You can be the nastiest person in the world, but you just learn how to put a mask of, niceness, pretending to be kind, and then everybody buys into it. A lot of people do. Like, people who are truly kind, they can spot this fake kindness, they can spot niceness, but most people cannot. So I've become bitter at that moment when I saw that nobody cared about me being kind. So that bitterness, I believe it was my evil stage in life, and I started using the niceness mask because I didn't want anybody to see me in that way, because I was kind, purposefully, and for a very long period of time I was doing my best to stay at that level. It was quite difficult. And once I became that kind of, this little Gollum, at some point I just started seeing how the world responds to it, and it was not good. I got into depression, I was lonely, I couldn't be a good friend, I couldn't be a good son, so I couldn't be like a good pretty much anybody. I even had to break up with my girlfriend several years ago just because I couldn't be a good boyfriend to her, even though I loved her a lot, and even though after years she said that I was the best she ever had and we just can't be together right now, still I still had to break up with her just because I felt that kind of little Gollum simmering in me and coming to the surface. And so I had to literally come back to my childhood essentially and go through that stage from 11 years of age until like that moment of time that I was in, and just fill in the gaps that I missed. How to be masculine, how to be hardworking, how to not be a slave, how to be attractive to women without trying, by just being yourself, how to be healthy and take care of your health, how to not become nerdy but be smart, which has a positive impact on other people, not just on yourself, how to not just stay in your room and pretend to be an introvert, but how to go out into the world and give something to the people, maybe not a vast amount of people, maybe not in like hundreds, but still regularly and consistently give something to the people, how to go through all of those pains, how to deal with psychosomatic problems, which were like causing back pain and all those kind of other things. And after several years, maybe 6, 7, 8 years, I think I have reached the stage where I was able to fill in the gaps, pretty much everything that I have missed for not having a dad, and become a dad for myself. So now there's like two versions of me. There's me, normal me, just like me as whoever I am right now, at the moment, 32 years of age, and then me as my dad, kind of leading myself into the future, being an example of whom I should be and what I should be doing and what is right and what is wrong. So because I believe in a higher power, and in order to abide by the laws of a higher power, it doesn't matter if it's a god, a nature, or a universe, you need to abide by some more simpler rules of somebody who is like stronger than you and who is leading you, which is usually a dad for any kind of man. But since I haven't had that, a dad, I had to basically define the set of unwritten rules that I have to follow, not in a nerdy manner or in a very political manner, like yes, do this and you do that and this and you have to do it because it's a rule or it's a law. No, it's it's kind of rooted and grounded in nature, treat other people the way you want to be treated, do good, work hard, have fun, of course, as a reward, try to care about other people more than about yourself, seek to understand before being understood. All of that wisdom that came from philosophers of the past, from religious leaders of the past, and from even some religious leaders as of now, such as Dalai Lama is a good example. And this whole path despite how hard it is, and it took me a long time to become basically, I could even call it becoming proper adult, because I don't believe most people are adults, and I don't believe I was an adult for a very long period of time, because being an adult is not just about being 18 years of age or older and being able to drink, drive car, have sex, and just smoke nicotine. It's much more than that. It's more transcendental, it's more spiritual, it's more kind of biological, and it's not just, you know, about looking good on paper so that somebody could tell you that, hey, you're a good boy. And so I think I have become adult enough to be able to go after my goals and to be able to be kind again and to do good to the world, but not at the expense of myself. So basically, even though I am very kind, but I will never let anybody try to destroy me or destroy anybody whom I love or what I have built, and I would fight for it relentlessly. That's a very big difference between being kind and being nice. I'm talking about like self-defense. Whenever somebody is like disrespectful to you, you don't attack them, obviously, immediately. You try to resolve that issue, because usually people are not being nice and being nasty because of their own issues and traumas, and once you're able to understand them and listen to them, the issue gets resolved naturally. But the thing is that standing your ground is crucial to being kind, because if you can be moved off your center, it means you're unable to be kind, because in order to be kind, you have to be willing to protect something, protect your family, protect your friends, protect your purpose, your mission in life, protect nature, protect God, protect the laws of our world, the laws of nature. And without that, you can only be nice because you aren't being authentic. It's been Edward. I'm gonna see you in the next video. I hope this one helped. Goodbye.